I learned two things in Cheyenne. One, that Hucky Dummy is baking powder bread with raisins. The other, that love's labor is not always lost, even if you don't know how to use a gun.
Frontier Gentleman. Herewith an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now, starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
I had spent a week in Chugwater with Hyena Bob Saunders, who ran the Cheyenne and Black Hills stage station. Now, I was on my way back to Cheyenne to send off to the London Times one or two of the more choice stories he had told me. There was only one other passenger in the stage with me, a man in his middle 20s. He introduced himself as Tom Hart. He was well-dressed, and at first glance I took him to be an Easterner.
No, I was born in Kansas, reared in Montana Territory. Now I call Wyoming my home. How about you?
Born in England. I'm trying to make a living writing articles on the West for the London Times.
Oh, you been in Cheyenne yet?
Oh, yes.
How are things?
Well, that's hard to say. I haven't seen too much of it.
3 years since I was there. I guess the town's changed some. But this road sure hasn't.
Well, Cheyenne's thriving, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I've heard. Big cattle interest.
Carrie took a shine to him while you was gone.
That's a lie.
I told Feeney to leave her alone. There was words. I threw him out. Same night he comes back with one of his boys, and they fill me full of lead.
Well, wasn't this Feeney arrested then, Charlie?
Sure, but it was his word against mine. Then Carrie took his side and swore at the trial it was someone else that come in and shot me up.
Is she with Feeney now?
I ain't seen her since that day. Hey, Tom, boy, while you're here, pump me a jug of water, will you? Old Doc Thorne says I got to drink plenty of water. And Mrs. Carroll's been helping out, but she ain't showed up yet today.
Yeah, sure. I'll be right back, Charlie.
Thank you. I ain't got the stomach to tell him all the truth of it. You'll have to find out sooner or later for yourself. She married Feeney.
Oh? When?
Yeah. Right before the trial. Guess it was partly my fault. I should have seen it. Carrie getting lonesome waiting for Tommy, and Feeney coming in here, his fancy spending ways. He runs a gambling in Holloman Saloon. Well, next thing you know, Carrie's looking cow eyes at him.
Well, don't you think it'd be better to tell Hart now about the marriage?
Say, listen, you keep an eye on him, will you? Tom's got a bad temper. He gets it in his head to start trouble, there's likely to be a killing.
All the more reason to tell him then. This way, he'll go up to the saloon looking for her.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It wouldn't be so good.
Here's your water, Charlie. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Yeah. Stay away from Holloman Saloon. I lied to you before, Tom. She's there with Feeney. They're married.
Is there anything else I can do for you, Charlie?
No, I reckon not. Hey, come on back and see me if you have a mind to. I'd sure like to hear about your travels.
I'll do that. So long.
You take it easy, Tom.
Goodbye, Charlie.
You take it easy, Tom.
Well, I guess I'll be seeing you, Kendall.
Where will you go, Tom?
Not that it's any of your business, but I guess you ask out of kindness. I'm going up to Holloman's Saloon and have me a few drinks.
Oh, well, mind if I come along?
No, I don't mind.
We walked down the main street. I knew it was pointless to tell him that trying to see his girl was the worst thing he could do to himself. I rather liked him, and I suppose that's the reason I went with him. He didn't say a word until we reached the saloon. Then he said,
You go ahead, Kendall. I'll meet you in there in a few minutes. I got an errand to do first.
Oh, I'll come with you. I don't mind.
I do. Just order me a bottle of whiskey. I'll see you inside.
All right.
Well, hello, stranger. You're a little early, but what's your pleasure? Cards? A dance?
As a matter of fact, I'm looking for Carrie.
Oh, for what?
Are you Carrie?
Yes.
Can we sit at the table?
I don't sit with customers, mister. That's for the girls. You want to talk business, you can talk to my husband.
A friend of yours is in Cheyenne. Tom Hart.
Tom.
He's just heard about you. He'll be coming in here in a minute. What you ought to know.
Thanks, mister. How did he take the news?
He got it from Charlie. Well, he'll probably get very drunk. I imagine I'd do the same.
He won't make trouble.
I'll try to see that he doesn't.
Has he said anything about me?
Only that he was expecting to marry you.
He's right. I thought... Doesn't matter. Anybody got the price of a drink in his pocket's welcome. That goes for Tom Hart as well as the next man. You want a table, mister?
Yes, a table would be fine.
This way. What are you drinking?
Oh, beer, I think. Yes, and a bottle of whiskey.
My husband. Jack doesn't like him. I wouldn't want Tom to get hurt on account of me. Will you get him out of here if he's looking for someone to sharpen his horns on?
I'll do my best.
Thanks. Beer and a bottle of whiskey, Lester.
Beer and a bottle of whiskey.
Well, where's the drinks?
On their way, Tom. What's the gun for, Tom?
She's right clean and shining, ain't she? Set me back $20.
Put it away.
I bought it, and I aim to use it. As soon as I get drunk enough, I'm going to kill me a skunk called Feeney.
In a moment, we return to Frontier Gentlemen. Fast with a quip, faster at making time with a beautiful girl, but fastest of all with a clue. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, will be along with his latest insurance investigation later today on CBS Radio. Get next to Yours truly, Johnny Dollar on most of these stations. Now, we return you to the Anthony Ellis production of Frontier Gentlemen.
Tom Hart and I sat at a table in Holloman's saloon, and between us lay a brand new .44 revolver. After a moment, Tom picked it up and slowly rotated the cylinder. He didn't turn as Carrie came toward us, didn't look up as she put down my beer and Tom's bottle of whiskey.
Yes, sir. It's a mighty pretty talking iron.
How are you, Tom?
Oh, Carrie. Yeah, I heard you was here. Well, you're looking good. You know, back east, they drink a toast to new married folks. So I drink to you, Carrie. Well, where's your husband, Mrs. Feeney?
Jack's out. Don't make trouble, Tom. What's done is done.
That's the way you see it, huh, Carrie?
You never wrote.
I didn't have to. You were my girl. I told you I'd be back, but you couldn't wait.
I waited 2 years.
You was in such a hurry you had to get Feeney to put Charlie out of the way, too.
That's not so, Tom.
Charlie, he's lying in bed. He don't move anything but his arms anymore. Your husband did a right fine job. You ain't even been to see him since.
That doesn't do much good, you know.
She's not the same anymore. At first I thought she was, but she's not. She was a girl. A nice girl when I left. She got too much paint now. Looks like a honky-tonk woman.
Finish your drink, we'll go.
There's time. There's plenty of time. I want to have a talk with Jack Feeney. He shot up a friend of mine, you remember? You want to leave, it's all right, Kendall. You go ahead.
I'll stay.
You want a whiskey to chase down that ear?
No, thank you.
You know why I'm going to get drunk?
I've got a rough idea.
Yeah? How rough?
Well, Tom, you know you really haven't got any right to start trouble with Feeney.
What about Charlie? What about him?
The court said Feeney was innocent.
Charlie says he did it.
And if you shoot Feeney, they'll find you guilty. What'll you prove?
She said she was going to wait. She said she loved me. Now, ain't that a laugh? Love.
That's why you're getting drunk. Then you'll be able to get angry without thinking.
You talk too much.
Well, you asked me.
Where'd she go?
Up the stairs.
Hey, you figure she was lying. Maybe Jack Feeney's
There's a saying in the West that a cowboy is a man with guts and a horse. This is the story of one. His name was Slim. Frontier Gentleman. Herewith, an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now, starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman. Bought a horse in Cheyenne and was riding to Laramie in Wyoming Territory. I wanted a chance to really look at this grazing country and the thousands of head of cattle dotting its plains. I rode north of the railroad tracks until the telegraph poles lining it were lost in a dusty haze. And I saw clouds, heavy and bronze, over the distant mountains. It was during the afternoon that I came upon the cowboy, a lean man of about 30, with a cigarette hanging from his lips. He was examining the right foreleg of his horse, and he looked up as I approached. Hello.
Howdy.
You need any help?
That fool horse stepped in a gopher hole. Don't seem to be no spring, though.
Fine-looking animal.
He ain't a bad old buzzard head. Hey, you English?
Yes.
You a ranchman?
No, a newspaper correspondent.
Oh, thought maybe if you was a ranchman, you'd be looking for a hand.
I'm sorry.
You don't make no never mind. I'm chassaying over to Laramie. Figure I'll get me a job one of them new layouts I hear tells open up.
I'm bound for Laramie myself. You mind if I ride with you?
Well, I take it as real friendly. Quit it, you moon-eyed son of a gun. Hold still.
You think we'll have rain?
Don't feel like it. Of course, you can't tell with them clouds. I've been on the range, and there ain't been nothing but blue up there, and Wango, down she comes. Tail as big as your fist. I tell you, nature's a skittish beast. Ain't no how bridle-wise.
Oh, incidentally, my name is Kendall.
Slim, all right.
Slim?
Been in these parts long?
Oh, a few weeks. I came down from Montana Territory by way of Deadwood.
That's so. Yeah, here, Wild Bill Hickok got plugged a while back in Deadwood.
Yes? I was there when it happened.
That's so. What happened to the feller that done it?
McCall?
Yeah, that was his name, Jack McCall.
He was tried. The jury found him not guilty.
That's so.
Did you know him?
No, just heard.
Oh.
What do you write about in your newspaper?
Well, I see people out here, their way of living.
Kind of different in England, huh?
Yes, it's quite different.
Ain't no plains, or mountains, or rivers. Ain't nothing back east or in England like we got here.
That's true.
Don't figure how come a man want to live back here.
Well, it's a different kind of country, a different kind of life. It's
Look.
What?
Didn't sound like no regular shooting. Oh, hold still, horse, or I'll mash your sides in.
Seems to come from the hills.
Yeah. Reckon someone's in trouble. Let's go.
A range of hills, low-lying, somber, about a mile to our north. It was from that direction we heard the shots. Slim's horse easily outdistanced mine, and by the time I reached the first slopes, the cowboy had disappeared into a canyon.
Kendall, over here.
What's the matter with him?
Looks like he's been locking horns with some Indians. I was just riding up to him when I fell down. There's half an arrow in him. Broke off. Now, take it easy, pard. Kendall, you better take his rifle. Keep an eye out.
There are no shells in it.
Arapahoe's got it.
Clara.
Where? Where did they go?
Up the canyon trail. Wagon and horses. Clara.
Oh, that's too bad. Too bad. He ain't gonna have no breakfast again forever, that's for sure.
What about the woman? Clara.
I guess she's still alive, though maybe she'd rather not be. Indians keep captured white women around, sometimes for hostage, sometimes for other things.
Well, do you think we'd have a chance of catching up with them?
It might. Depends on how long a start they got and how many. I'd kind of like to bury him first. Ain't fitting for a man to lie out in the open after he's curled up.
But it'll take time. What about the woman?
It won't go no better or worse with her for the time. Oh, that ground's too hard for hand digging. We'd have to make a rock grave. Tell you what, though. You start on it. I'll work up the canyon a bit, see if I can find signs. Now, if you hear 3 shots, come a-running. I'll do the same for you.
Right.
Oh, wait. He may have some shells left for the Winchester. Yeah. Well, that's something. 8 of them. You better keep the rifle here. So long.
I began the task of burying the dead man. From letters and a homestead deed in his pockets, I found that his name was Theodore Belding. There was also a tintype of a young, rather pretty woman whom I gathered to be his wife, Clara. It took the better part of 45 minutes to complete the grave, and it wasn't until almost an hour later that Slim returned.
Well, I found the trail, followed it a way up. There was 4 Indians in the wagon. They cleared the wagon and left it burned. Took the horses, though, and the woman.
What are our chances?
Can you shoot?
I'm fair.
Well, I ain't done any trailing since 5 years back, but we ain't got nothing to lose. Be getting dark by and by. We'll keep going till light gives out.
Do you know this country, Slim?
Not much, but a man can read a lot of things from places he ain't been. Here. That's where they stopped the wagon, see?
Oh, you mean those double-wheel ruts?
Yeah. Must have ambushed him from over there. And the feller fell here. See the blood spots? Guess he made things hot for him for a spell.
Were you an Indian scout, Slim?
Yeah, for a while. Worked with Custer.
Oh? What did you think of him?
For him, I got a can of cuss words, and I best keep the lid on it. Yeah, we'll save our breath for breathing from here on. I want to be able to hear what there is to hear.
We went on up the canyon, Slim reading the ground, or, as he put it, following sign. For a mile or more, the trail was obvious, even to the most unpracticed eye, but after we passed the burned-out wagon, it became more difficult to follow. For another hour, we rode in silence. The sun was beginning to set. A cool breeze was sweeping down the canyon. Oh, now.
You hear that? Could mean Indians made a camp. Those crows ain't flying. Figure they're sitting in the trees waiting for a handout.
Unless they're feeding on carrion.
It wouldn't be corn if there were.
Sounds as if they're in those trees. See, just over the rise?
Don't seem smart enough for Indians to make a camp this early.
Or they know we're following and they're waiting for us.
Shut your mouth, you glandered, spavin coyote. Hoss smells them. Now, we better tie the critters up.
All right.
Pull down that injure rubberneck of yours. Pale-faced, wall-eyed son of a gun. I'll skin you alive.
Do you think, Slim, it might be an idea to work our way through the trees instead of along the canyon wall, huh?
I sure do. That old sun's right behind us. We make awful pretty targets. Keep in the shadows as much as you can. We'll just figure they got no weapons except in bow and arrow. That gives us a mighty advantage. You all set?
Yes.
Come on, then. And watch out for twigs and dry leaves. Walk soft.
Ahead of us, through the trees and shrubs, lay the brow of the rise. We made our way upward until we were within 10 yards of the top. That's when I saw a glint in the sunlight and a trickle of sand moving down the slope toward us.
Get down!
In a moment, we return to Frontier Gentlemen. Does that sound go with this music? Sure it does, when it's the sound of the shutters coming off the summer place in the woods, in the mountains, or at the shore. Only 5 more days from now, all America opens up the summer place as we swing into the 3-day Memorial Day weekend, the first great outdoor holiday of the year. But first, what does your summer place need? In the refrigerator, on the kitchen shelves, the bathroom shelves, round the grill. Check now. Make a list now. Buy at your grocer's, your druggist, your hardware store. Then you'll be all set for that great big 3-day weekend. And say, don't forget to have your portable radio checked and ready. Wherever you spend your happy holiday, there's a CBS radio network station to keep you posted on the weather and the news. And now we return you to the Anthony Ellis production of Frontier Gentlemen.
Phew. You got good eyes, Kendall. I sure could feel the sawdust in my beard that time. Where are they?
Well, one of them's between the boulders, a little to the right of the clump of alders. There, you can see the rifle sight.
Want to try a shot with a Winchester?
No, not yet. Only 8 shells. We better save them.
How many rounds you got for your gun?
About 20.
I got near the same. Say 50 rounds between guns and rifle. Not bad if it don't take too long. How many you figure we're shooting?
2, from the sound of it.
Sharp's repeaters, that's for sure. Well, we sure cut a big gut that time.
Seems to me the only thing to do now is to wait until it's dark. There's no other way to get at them without being seen.
I'm wondering what our chances are after dark. We ain't in the best position. Might be we ought to pull back down canyon, wait for morning before we pick up the trail.
And what about the woman?
Well, if she's still alive, she knows there's help around.
White man, come out from trees. We make medicine.
Here's the Indian couldn't drive nails in a snowbank.
He's trying to draw a fire. Locate us.
Well, let him.
You want to make medicine, Siwash? You come down here.
That came from the left, higher up. One of them must be in a tree.
I think I can see him.
Yeah, there's enough sticking out. No, gone now.
Not on this side.
Now there's one good Indian. Where'd you learn to shoot like that, mister?
Odd places. What?
I'm hit.
Where?
Oh, I'm hit in the arm. Oh, man, that hurts. Oh, that hurts.
Let me see now, Slim.
Oh. Well, it ain't the gun hand, anyhow. Can you bind it up?
Yes. Now keep down now.
White man, you want white woman? We talk. Maybe you pay gold, get her back. Come down here. We'll talk.
How does it feel now, Slim?
Like a branding iron's inside.
There's not too much bleeding, though. That's something.
Sure wish we had more cover. I feel naked as a painted cat laying out
White
here.
man, we come down talk. You shoot, woman die.
What do you think?
We might have 'em buffaloed. Let 'em come. But watch 'em for tricks. They got 100.
Come down. We'll hold our fire.
Only one of 'em. Now, if he ain't a setting duck against that sky.
There's 2 more, though. They must be with the woman.
Yeah, maybe. Keep your eyes peeled.
White man has been wounded.
Indian has been killed?
We are many. You are 2.
Climb down, Siwash. There were 4 of you, now there's 3.
I have Little Knife, chief of the Arapaho.
You're Little Knife, a renegade dog who steals women.
Little Knife not renegade. Fight with Crazy Horse. Little Knife not steal woman, take woman. Like white man take Little Knife land. Maybe kill white woman. Like white man kill Indian woman and child.
The war is over. There's no more killing on either side.
White man say war is finished. Not Indian.
Quit your coyoting around the rim, Indian. What about the woman?
You give me your guns, rifle, and gold. I give her to you.
I'll see you hung up to dry first.
Not our guns or rifles, but perhaps some gold. How much?
How much you got?
$100?
Not enough.
That's all there is.
All guns and $100.
No.
I go back. Maybe you hear a woman die. Then you pay.
Maybe you don't go back, Siwash. What about that?
Like all white man. Break word of truce.
You speak of honor and murder with the same breath?
We can kill you all. We wait for night, then we kill.
I got a finger. It's itching right now to wait for nothing.
Little Knife not afraid to die.
Little Knife, you took the belongings in the white man's wagon. Return the woman, and we let you keep it all. That and $100 in gold.
You let Little Knife keep what he already has. Not a trade.
Listen, you double-distilled son of a gun. I seen a fair-sized anthill down the canyon away. How'd you like to be staked out?
I make good offer. Woman for guns and $100. You say no, I go back now. Soon as the night, then we take your guns and the gold.
The Indian turned and moved back up the slope. For a moment, I had an uncontrollable desire to shoot. Then I thought of the woman, of what would happen to her. I lowered the rifle. We shifted our positions a few yards to the right, and we lay there, waiting. And the darkness settled into the canyon.
Funny thing.
What?
We ain't heard no sound from the woman.
Yeah, I was thinking of that myself.
Wonder if she's all right. Well, should be better than 3/4 moon tonight. Coming up in a while. They gonna try something. It'll be afore the moon.
Slim, I think we'd better sit back to back in case they circle around us.
Yeah. I was just thinking. Wish I had me a drink of red-eye right now. I know a place in Dodge. I tell you, Kendall, a shot of that tornado juice would draw a blood blister and a rawhide boot.
I'd like to see that.
Shucks, that ain't nothing. Feller what runs the saloon. He serves a free snake with every drink. That ain't what you think. It ain't no woman, that's an Indian. I know, I heard him before. They want us to think it's her.
Are you sure?
I'll show you. Hey, you crow-bait dogs! Which one of you's a squaw? See what I mean?
Yes. One thing I don't understand.
What's that?
Why do they stay here? Why not ride off with the woman?
I figure there's 2 reasons. First, Little Knife's probably left the reservation. He ain't got no particular place to go. Second, they want our guns. Indian will do a lot of fool things to get hold of a gun. Come to think of it, there's something else.
Oh?
Maybe they're low on bullets. You reckon?
Yeah. It's quite possible. That's why they haven't attacked.
Sure. They're using Sharp's repeaters. That feller's Winchester ain't the same caliber. So whatever shells they picked up in the wagon ain't worth a thing.
In which case, we don't wait for them to attack us.
I know what you're getting at, but it won't work.
Well, why not?
I wouldn't be no good. Not with this busted wing.
Slim, you stay here. Cover me with the rifle.
No, he'll hear you before you get 10 feet up the rise.
Slim, I'll admit that I'm a comparative greenhorn in your territory, but I've had the dubious pleasure of slitting a number of throats under similar circumstances in India. Those chaps didn't hear me. I'll take my chances with these Arapaho.
Well, you gonna use a knife?
Oh, if I have to, yes.
You sure are a funny kind of Englishman.
Here, take the rifle.
Mister, I sure hope you know what you're doing.
So do I. I crawled out of the hollow and inched my way up the slope. I had seen the flash of the Indian's rifle and knew his approximate location. In the direction I was taking, I planned to reach the top of the hill some yards from where I had last seen him. It was slow. Then, as I raised my head over the summit, I saw the great orange glow of the rising moon, and silhouetted against it, the crouching form of an Indian, half turned from me, behind a boulder. I drew out my knife. He died without a sound. Then I made out Little Knife and the remaining Indian. They were a few feet away, standing over a gagged and bound body. And in the constantly growing moonlight, I saw the chief bend down, the glitter of steel in his hand. This time I knew it would be a woman's scream I was going to hear.
Little Knife! It's all right, Slim. She's alive.
She's all right. I cut the ropes, loosened the gag from the woman's mouth, and for a long moment she only looked at me. Then she began to cry. I carried her down the slope to where Slim was waiting. Then I went back to get the Indian horses and the things which had belonged to Belding and his wife. After that, Slim and I took her to Laramie in Wyoming Territory.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were Jack Moyles as Slim and Lawrence Dobkin as Little Knife. Join us again next week for another report from The Frontier Gentleman. Dan Coverly speaking.
Today, hear Jack Benny on the CBS Radio Network.
One of the prettiest women I've met in the West was very nearly the cause of violence and carnage. And to this day, I don't think she knows why.
Frontier Gentleman. Herewith, an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
One of the first things I noticed in Laramie, Wyoming Territory, was the intense rivalry between that town and Cheyenne on the other side of the Laramie Mountains. One read the bitter attacks and counterattacks in the opposition newspapers. One heard it on the streets. At the time I arrived in Laramie, gold had been discovered in the mountains to the south, and there was great rejoicing in this fact, which threatened to eclipse Cheyenne's claim of superiority. In the interest of fair reporting, I decided to visit the mining area with the idea of making comparisons between it and that which I had seen in Montana Territory. It was about midday when I saw the sign by the side of the trail reading Rotten Head Gulch, and a few minutes after that when I arrived at the cluster of shacks which constituted said township. I noticed 3 men outside an edifice which bore the legend, Dirty Charlie's Saloon.
Look at there.
Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Saloon's closed.
Oh?
Yeah, voting day.
Oh, I see.
You voted yet?
Well, no.
Buck, get out the voting paper.
Got it right here, Jim. Right here, mister.
I'm not a member of your community. Does that make a difference?
Well, you're a human man. That's all the difference we need. Hey, Shorty, get off from the table. Let the stranger sit comfortable like. All right, set, mister.
Oh. Well,
make your mark, or you can write it out proper if you know how.
One small point. What am I voting for? Or whom?
You're voting for the school mom. That's what and who.
Oh. And do I vote yes or no?
Well, you vote yes, mister. You vote no, you're liable to end up lying toes down. Hey, you ain't been sent by them no good Goose Creek boys, have you?
No, I've come from Laramie. Left there this morning.
That's all right, then.
Look here, it's not that I mind voting, but I'd like to know something about it.
Well, he told you, mister.
Shut your mouth, Shorty. Man's got a right to know. That's legal. Well, sir, now it's this way. We got a school mom in Rottenhead Gulch. A school district in Laramie give her, and we aim to keep her.
She's the prettiest thing you ever did see.
Shorty, I'm telling you now, hobble your lip.
Well, she is. Ain't she, Buck? Oh, man, she is a cow bunny, and that's for sure.
Now, like I say, we aim to keep her, and ain't no Goose Creek coyote's going to get her. And that's how come to vote. Now, the school district says if Goose Creek gets more votes in Rottenhead Gulch, she's going to be sent there.
Ah, now I see.
So you vote yes.
But, is it legal?
Well, sure it's legal.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Look here, I'm in charge of voting. I say it's legal. Anybody comes this here town on voting day is a citizen of Rottenhead Gulch. Honorable like. Now, as mayor, I make you a citizen. Now you vote.
All right.
Hey, Buck, where at's a writing quill?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
We ain't had no voting since this morning. Guess maybe I left it in the saloon.
Well, go get it.
Sure, Jim.
You know, I'm rather surprised to find a school teacher out here. I mean, in a mining town as small as this. Are there many children?
Oh, shucks, mister. There ain't no kids around
Shorty,
here.
One of these here days, that leaky mouth of yourn is going to get you a case of slow.
Well, it's the truth, Jim.
A school teacher with no children to teach? Rather odd, isn't it?
Well, now, sir, ain't nothing odd about it. We aim to get us some kids as soon as we get us some women to marry up with and have the kids.
But how did the school district assign her here in the first place?
Ain't nobody asked to find out. They did, and she's here, and she's going to stay.
She's been learning us. There's 20 of us. Goes to school every night after work's done. Ain't that so, Jim?
That there's a fact, mister. Now, maybe we ain't kids, but ain't but 5 of us can read and write so's you could notice it. And we figure we got a right to learn as well as any kid.
Oh, I quite agree. But tell me, where does one meet this school teacher of yours?
Well, I seen her a while back down to the creek washing some woman things.
I found it, Jim.
Right here. Here's a writing quill.
Where at's the ink?
Oh.
You know something? I want to tell you that there Buck. Well, school ain't going to do him no good. You know, he ain't got enough brains to start with.
How many votes will you need to keep her here?
Well, more'n Goose Creek, that's for sure.
You see, we got 20 votes in Rottenhead Gulch. Goose Creek's got maybe 30. So we just got to vote more than they do, so when the votes is counted, then we'll win.
Who counts the votes?
Oh, back in Laramie. Well, as soon as the day is finished, we seal up the voting boxes and we take them up to Laramie.
But won't they know that you've enlarged your voting? They must be aware of the population here.
Shucks, no such thing. We just got to be sure we got more signed votes in Goose Creek. That's all.
How will you know that?
Well, right now it is kind of a problem.
I got the ink, Jim. Right here.
Thanks. There you go, mister.
Good afternoon, boys.
Well, now, good afternoon, Miss Jones. Howdy there.
I've met this gentleman.
Well, no, ma'am. He's just rode in. As soon as he's finished his business, he's going to be riding right out again.
Miss Jones, isn't it?
Yes.
My name is Kendall, Miss Jones. J.B. Kendall.
How do you do, Mr. Kendall?
I have been hearing quite a bit about you, Miss Jones.
Oh, have you?
I'd like very much to talk to you as soon as I've voted.
Voted? But you can't vote. James Ponder.
Oh, now, ma'am, this here is men's work,
I will
and
not
you...
have a dishonest ballot. I told you that before.
Oh, it ain't really dishonest, Miss Jones. Jim made this fella an honorable citizen of Rotten Head Gulch, didn't you, dear?
I'm very sorry, Mr. Kendall, but you cannot vote.
Well, ma'am, you just don't understand these here political things.
I understand that you're trying to stuff the ballot box, and I will not have it. Has everybody in town voted?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
We sure have.
Then in my presence, I want you to seal the box.
Oh, Miss Jones. Oh, look, we can't do that. Look here, now, it ain't legal. Yeah, not till sundown. It just ain't legal. That's what it says right here in these here instructions from the school district in Laramie. Now, it just ain't legal. Not till sundown.
If everybody's voted, it's legal. Seal the box.
Yes, ma'am.
That just don't seem right. Some of the other fellas didn't get to vote.
Shorty, can you help me seal up this here now thing? Now, Miss Jones, why don't you take Mr. Kendall and show him the schoolhouse? I figure he'd like to see that.
As a matter of fact, I would.
All right. And no more voting. Is that understood?
Oh, Miss Jones,
you,
I
Miss
understand for sure.
This way, Mr. Kendall. Are you a miner, too?
No. I'm a newspaper correspondent for the London Times.
Isn't that strange? I had a feeling, not exactly, but you're very much like my brother. He's a reporter on a Nebraska paper. How strange. It gave me quite a start when I first saw you.
Miss Jones, how long have you been here?
In Rotten Head Gulch, 3 months.
Weren't you surprised to find no children?
Yes. Of course, they kept it from me for almost 2 weeks.
I think I can understand why.
Can you really, Mr. Kendall? Oh, I see. You mean because they wanted to learn themselves? Yes, you're right.
And that's why you decided to stay?
Yes. I suppose you think it curious that a woman devote her time to teaching 20 grown men.
Not curious. Unusual, perhaps.
This is the schoolhouse, Mr. Kendall. The men built it. They built the desks, benches, everything. Would you like to come inside?
Very much.
They even built a wooden floor, Mr. Kendall. Wooden floors are quite rare in these mining towns.
I'm impressed more than I can say, Miss Jones.
They have a great desire for education. I couldn't leave them. Not after they worked so hard to build this.
And now?
Unfortunately, word reached the people of Goose Creek that there was a school teacher here. They are a slightly larger community and feel that the school district board should assign me to their town. Besides which, there are 2 children in Goose Creek.
I see.
The board decided to have it settled by a vote. If enough residents of Goose Creek require my services and outvote the men of Rotten Head Gulch, I shall have to obey the decision of the board.
Well, aren't there other teachers available?
Yes. That's the strange part of it. Neither town will accept anyone but me. Of course, I'm flattered. But I can't see that it really makes any difference. Can you?
Well, yes. In a way. You see...
Here she is, boys. You, mister, elevate your hands high. Now, we don't aim to hurt you none, Miss Jones. You just come along with us and everything will be right fine.
Mr. Kendall?
Now, look here.
Take care of him, Wes.
I'll do that, Pa.
In a moment, we return to Frontier Gentlemen. Another fascinating adventure is waiting for you on CBS Radio today, as most of these same stations present the FBI in Peace and War. Today, these law enforcers go after a pair of swindlers. You'll be amazed by the cleverness of the swindlers. You'll be thrilled to learn, however, that the FBI in Peace and War is cleverer still. And now, we return you to the Anthony Ellis production of Frontier Gentlemen.
I seem to remember a great roaring in my ears, which, as I awoke, turned out to be the voice of James Ponder. He was kneeling over me, and seeing my eyes open, redoubled his efforts to pour a great dollop of foul-tasting whiskey down my throat.
Come on, Kendall, it'll clear your head.
No, don't.
There you go.
I don't need it. No.
What happened? Yeah. What?
Hey, where is she, Kendall?
Help me up.
Well, where is she?
We heard horses, and when we got here, there wasn't nobody except you.
Yeah. There were 3 or 4 men, masked. They'd taken her.
Well, who was he?
I don't know, except there was a father and son. The older man called the other Wes.
Wes. Jim, that's Wes over to Goose Creek.
Stomp Peter's son, Wes. I might have knowed it.
You reckon they carried her off to beat the vote?
That's what they done.
What good would it do?
Well, I'll tell you what good. They figured they got more votes than we got, and even if we maybe voted more times than them, they got her in Goose Creek. And by the time the school district gets around eyeballing around and maybe a recount, well, it'll be 2, maybe 3 months. And by then, there's going to be a new school district board in, and the whole blame thing will have to start up again.
Oh, that no-account Stomp Peters, he's about as welcome as a rattler in a dog town.
Now, dally your tongue, Shorty. Now, go fetch them other boys out of the hills. We got to do something about this.
Oh, we sure have, Jim.
I tell you, ain't no Goose Creek sidewinder going to rustle our school, Mom. All right, hit the breeze, Shorty. And you too, Buck. Tell the boys to wear shooting irons. This here's going to be a powder-burning contest.
An hour later, 20 men, hard-bitten miners, some of them young, others grizzled, all armed to the teeth, were gathered in Dirty Charlie's saloon. Their mood was black, and it became blacker as Jim Ponder spoke to them.
That's Stomp Peters. He's a no-good, bull-windy, oily bronc. He come here looking for our school, Mom, and he snatches her clean out of Rotten Head Gulch. Well, he ain't going to get away with it. Because we're going over to Goose Creek, and we're going to shoot up that there place like you never seen. And we're going to get Miss Jones right back where she belongs, yeah? And when we get through with Stomp Peters and that dingbat son of his, we're going to use them to trim a tree, yeah? All right, now get your horses, boys, and rattle the house out of here.
You coming, Miss Kendall?
Oh, certainly.
Likely they'll be shooting.
How far is it to Goose Creek?
Oh, about half a mile.
All right, now, let's go! Ho, ho.
Don't you imagine they'll be expecting you?
Why, sure they'll be expecting us. It's going to be a real shoot-up.
Wouldn't it have been better to surprise them?
Well, what for? They know we'd be coming after them.
Supposing she gets hurt.
Well, now, you know, I didn't think of that. Hey, you figure maybe.
With shooting, there's a chance.
Boys, you hear what Kendall here says? Well, we don't want the school mom hurt. So you watch where you're shooting at, you hear? All right, now. We're going to take it real slow. Just around the next turn. All right, yeah. Hey, Kendall, you and me, we're going to keep an eye out for Miss Jones. Either one of us eyeballs her gets out of there fast, you hear?
Right.
There they are. Hey, looky at that there, Kendall. Right in the middle of the street. Like you say, looks like they've been inspecting us.
We came upon Goose Creek with abrupt suddenness. The trail rounded a bend and became an elongated clearing, lined on both sides with shacks. Perhaps a half dozen more than existed in Rotten Head Gulch. Between the dwellings and in the middle of the street were piled boxes, barrels, and 2 overturned wagons. Behind this barricade, we could see the figures of men and a reflection of sunlight on steel. Up to this point, even with my headache, the affair had been rather difficult to take seriously, but the complexion had radically changed. When we were no more than 20 yards from the defenders, Jim Ponder held up his hand.
Everybody! Yeah, stop, Peter! What do you want, Ponder? We come to get Miss Jones and take her back to her rightful home. She's in her rightful home, just where she is. And you're a liar. Want to start trouble? We ain't going back without the school, Marm. Maybe you ain't going back because you'll be shaking hands with St. Peter.
Let me talk to him.
This ain't no time for chewing the cud. Let's start throwing lead.
Shorty, shut your mouth, will you?
They're in a better position than we are.
Shucks, we could ride right over them.
If you lived that long.
What's the matter, boys? Afraid to take the big jump?
Come out, Peters. You can bring another man with you. Jim Ponder and I'll meet you between the lines.
Who are you?
The chap who was with Miss Jones.
I told you, Pa. I told you he wasn't dead.
All right. You and Ponder get off your horses. Come forward slow.
You watch it, Jim.
Now, don't you fret. Hey, boys, they start something. You go in and finish it, yeah?
Well,
let's go, Kendall.
What's your name, mister?
Kendall.
This here's my boy, Wes. We figured he killed you.
I told you I didn't, Pa.
What do you got to say?
Where's Miss Jones?
In the schoolhouse we got built for her?
Is she all right?
Sure, she's all right.
Ain't nobody gonna hurt that pretty gal.
No, sir.
Well, we aim to take her back, Stomp Peters.
You're off your mental reservation if you think you can do it, Ponder. You ain't got no right to a schoolma'am nohow. Why, there ain't a kid in that broken-down flea-bitten town of yours.
Well, that don't matter. We aim to get some by and by. School district give her to us.
We just outvoted you. She's ours now.
You better set your gun a-going, Stomp Peters.
Well, that what you want? I'm willing. Draw.
Now, wait. That won't settle anything.
Well, I never seen a better way.
You get him, Pa. Cut down to Sir Kendall fella.
Young man, I owe you something for that clout on the head, but I have no desire to kill you. Now, both of you, keep your hands in sight. You too, Jim.
Huh? Hey, what's ailing you, mister? I'm on your side.
Then keep your gun holstered. There's no need for shooting. Peters, tell one of your men to bring Miss Jones out here.
I ain't gonna do it.
Hey,
Sam, go get the schoolma'am. Bring her out.
Just what you got in mind, Kendall.
You'll see.
Well, it better be good. Of course, effing it ain't. Effing Stomp Peters' boys don't get you, me or mine will. Ain't nobody pulls a gun on me and gets away with it.
I think it's for the best.
What are you men doing?
Well, howdy, ma'am. We come to get you out of this here pest hole. We come to save you.
I've had enough of this nonsense. First, I'm forced to accompany Mr. Peters against my will. Now your men are lined up waiting to kill each other. I will not have it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kendall, put away that gun. All of you. Put down those guns.
All right, boys. Heard what she said. Now put them away.
Now, Mr. Kendall, I should be obliged if you will escort me back to Laramie.
Laramie? You going to go back to Laramie?
Oh, she's going to Laramie.
Oh, Miss Jones.
It's gone too far. If this is the example you set your children...
Miss Jones, could I have a word with you in private?
I really don't see that
Well, I think you will. Gentlemen, if you'll excuse us.
Oh, she can't go back to Laramie. You said you could have her.
Looks like there ain't nobody going to have her no more.
Dreadful grammar. Double, triple negatives.
Miss Jones, there may be a solution, if you're willing.
I don't see any way. I really don't.
If they could share you?
Share me?
I mean your teaching. The towns are only a half-mile apart. It might be possible.
No, Mr. Kendall. My mind's made up. Today is the final straw.
Miss Jones, think of the schoolhouse in Rotten Head Gulch.
You know, it was rather touching. They've built a schoolhouse for me here in Goose Creek as well. The floor isn't quite as good, but...
They need you, Miss Jones.
You think so?
I do. Look at them.
They are like children, aren't they?
Very much like children.
I think perhaps you're right, Mr. Kendall. But I wonder what the school district board will think.
Well, I imagine a joint petition from both towns ought to settle the problem.
Yes. Yes, very likely. All right. If the men will agree to your plan.
I'm sure they will.
All right. I'll stay. Mr. Kendall.
Yes?
While I was being held captive, a rather terrible thought occurred to me. It is the education that I can give them, isn't it? I mean, there are no baser thoughts involved. Perhaps because I am a woman?
Miss Jones, were it not for the fact that I have already completed my school and university curricula, I should not hesitate to avail myself of the opportunity to better my education.
Thank you, Mr. Kendall. You've relieved my mind.
The matter was settled most amicably, and readers of the London Times will be interested to know that an extraordinarily pretty woman by the name of Miss Annabella Jones is now entrusted with the education of some 53 adults and 2 children in the mining towns of Goose Creek and Rotten Head Gulch in Wyoming Territory.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were Jack Crucian, Virginia Gregg, Vic Perrin, Jack Moyles, Harry Bartell, and Eddie Firestone. episode of Gunsmoke proves no gambling stakes were too high along the frontier. For thrill upon thrill, hear what happens in the pioneer days of Dodge City when a man's life hangs upon the outcome of a horse race. That's on CBS Radio's Gunsmoke later on today. Join us again next week for another report from The Frontier Gentleman. Dan Coverly speaking.
The events that took place in Shoshone, Wyoming Territory, are still something of a nightmare to me. This report to readers of the London Times will explain why recent dispatches have been delayed.
Frontier Gentleman. Herewith an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now, starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
The story of my journey to Yellowstone National Park began with the coach of the Yellowstone stage line pulling into the town of Shoshone, midway point between Bear Claw and the National Park. Beside myself, the coach carried a Mr. and Mrs. Willis of Baltimore and a thin young man of about 25 whose name was Black. As the driver pulled up in front of the Shoshone Hotel, a group of men came forward to meet us. One of them was wearing the badge of deputy sheriff.
Charlie? Well, this seems to be a nice little town.
Yes, does. Let's stretch our legs, my dear. You getting help, Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
According to the schedule, seems we'll have our supper here.
You boys looking for somebody? That's right, Charlie. You tell your passengers to just take it easy. Have them go into the hotel lobby. Right.
Folks, Mr. Kendall, Mr. Willis.
Yes?
This here's C.B. Belljoy. He's deputy sheriff. Says for you all to go on in the hotel.
Well, suppose we don't want to.
Well, then, Mr. Black, I reckon you'll have to take that up with him. That right, C.B.?
Mister, you wearing a gun?
No.
Then you got no choice, have you? Now, you go on with the others. Just wait in the lobby. The sheriff will... Oh, no. Here he comes right now.
Oh, Henry, look at him. He's so
Mercy on a poor sinner.
Howdy. Remember, you, Clyde, boy, mine, son, did fine. Just fine.
Thank you, Paul.
Son of mine, C.B.
Howdy, Sheriff.
Charlie, I hope we ain't put you out too much.
No, sir. We can lay over here tonight if you say so.
Good. And ease the passengers. Clyde, son of mine.
That's right, Paul.
Yeah, ragtail bunch. Well, let's get it over with.
You folks go on in the lobby now. Go on. Help me get him out.
Clyde, C.B.
You help me get
Clyde, stop sniveling. Help me up. Out of here. Yeah, you, boy.
I'm here, Paul.
Son, now. That's it. Give me your hand.
Here you are, Paul.
Hand, bright boy. But now then, pull. Hank. Somebody get behind me. That's it now. You two back there. Do that push. Shove. Pull. That's it. There.
He entered entered the hotel without further mishap, and we were instructed to take seats facing him. After we had complied, the deputy CB told us why we were being held there.
Paul got a telegraph message a while ago from the sheriff in Bear Claw. Now, it seems like somebody snuck into the Lucky Dollar Saloon office and walked off with a payroll just about when the stage was due to pull out. The sheriff down there...
Ben Johnson.
Yes, Paul.
Johnson.
The sheriff...
Johnson.
Ben Johnson.
Ben, yeah.
He figures the man that did it rode off on the stage.
You mean you think it's one of us?
Well, that's what the sheriff in Bear Claw thinks.
Hey, look, Gildy. It could be in cahoots. Boy.
Now, just a minute, Sheriff.
Who's he?
What? Name's Willis, Paul. Says it's his wife traveling with him.
Woman looks like her. Gotta be his wife. Why?
Sheriff, would you mind
Don't bother me during court, mister.
Court?
That's right.
But this ain't a...
Right.
I mean, this can't be no court. Where's the judge and the jury?
Mr. Black, this here is Paul's court.
You mean it's kangaroo court?
Hey, why, you call me a kangaroo? Well, you dirty. $50. Give me
$50 for what?
Contempt for 50 days, which you decide.
But you can't... Mr. Kendall.
Excuse me, Sheriff. But according to law, a sheriff doesn't have the authority to exercise a fine from anyone in court. Only the judge can do that.
A judge just did it.
You mean he's the sheriff and the judge?
And the jury.
Jury?
And the mayor. And the town council.
Counsel, executioner. Boy, you forgot. Executioner.
Well, that too. Executioner.
All
yes,
right,
sir.
all right. Now we understand. Let's get on with it. Bring him to attention. Attention, son.
Yes, sir.
Son.
This court's hereby in session. Judge Granger Beljoy presiding.
First case, the people against thief of the Lucky Dollar in Bear Claw. Oh, now, which one of them you reckon did it, son? Him?
Henry.
Sheriff,
Reckon not. No. She wouldn't let him loose long enough to rob a saloon. Must be you, mister.
No, Pa, that's the English fella.
Yeah, foreigner. Pussy-footin' foreigner.
That's how I figured.
No guts. He wouldn't do it if he was starving. Really livid, starving.
Well, that leaves him, Pa.
Yeah. Now, how do you plead? What's his name?
Black.
Name, how do you plead? Black.
Plead?
Yeah.
I ain't pleading no way to something I didn't do.
Innocent. But, boy, you look guilty as in. Might as well confess.
But I didn't do nothing.
Sheriff.
You keep out of this, Mr. Kendall.
Black, you say you're innocent.
Yes.
I say you're guilty. You got witnesses?
Why, no, I got no...
Sheriff. Judge Beljoy, Your Honor. Sheriff.
Yeah, what? What is it, Charlie?
Judge, sir, Sam over at the telegraph office told me to give you this.
Oh.
Just come in.
Now, let's see. Let's see that. See that. Over. From the sheriff, Bear Claw, man robbed saloon known to be tall. Oh, regards, Johnson. Johnson. Tall?
Well, that lets me out.
Yeah, it sure does. It's got to be the Englishman then, Pa.
Now, just a minute here.
Kendall, don't you try nothing.
Henry, help him.
Grab hold of that Englishman, boy.
I don't
Boy,
need
grab.
to, Pa.
Grab.
He tries anything, I'll ventilate him with this here shooting iron.
Good, son of mine. Good. Yeah. Kendall, I hereby sentence you to a term 2 years. My jail.
Being incarcerated in the Shoshone jail wasn't the most pleasant experience, but I did manage to sleep. And while I was oblivious to the cares of the outside world, I learned later that Sheriff Beljoy received another telegraph message from the sheriff of Bear Claw.
read it out loud.
Yeah,
Pa.
I'll read it. It says, a thief captured here. Has confessed robbing Lucky Dollar. Saloon. Release your prisoner, signed John. Why, that lowdown. Ornery.
Oh, that
Lord,
means I ain't gonna have nobody to learn me manners and the like. Yes, you are, child. Your pa promised you, and there ain't nobody makes as good a teacher of manners as a foreigner. Ain't that right, Granger?
I'm going to have to let him go.
Why?
Oh.
Why can't you just pretend you didn't get no message?
You know why, woman.
You let him go. What's gonna become of me, Pa? That's right. Look at her. Your own flesh and bloody image.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
You think anybody's gonna pay her any mind when she don't even have good mannered learning?
Now, Lorene, sweet potato, mine. You...
Don't lard up to me.
Woman, it ain't my fault.
You don't want me to have no learning, no English learning or nothing.
Oh, honey, part I do, but...
You want your daughter to have the best. You tear up that message. You'll make believe you never got it. And the Englishman will be made a trustee like you promised, and he'll learn me all he knows, whether he likes it or not. Granger Bellejoy, carried up.
Woman, you female. Crazy. Female.
Doing it! Oh, Pa! Oh, here, now, don't overexcite yourself, honey
no.
pot. Best you be getting along to bed now. Yes, Ma. Night, Pa!
Night.
You done right for her. And after a year or so, that Englishman might get used to her. Might even decide to stay here permanent.
The morning following my arrest, I was served an unusually tasty breakfast by an unusually beefy young woman named Mercy Day Bellejoy. Between giggles, she managed to indicate that she admired foreigners. About an hour later, I was taken under guard into Sheriff Bellejoy's office.
Here he is, Paul.
Yeah, Kendall, I'm going to come to the point, if I can. Now, daughter of mine, Mercy Day, her mother, want you to learn her proper. Oh, boy, tell him.
Well, what Paul means, Mr. Kendall, is that he's offering you a chance to be somebody around here, a trustee. Come and go as you like, long as we have your word you won't run off.
Yeah.
Now, how about it? Well, you got something to say, ain't you?
I have more than something to say. Sheriff, has it ever occurred to you that I might have friends, business associates and the like, who will note my disappearance and start asking questions?
Well, like who?
Yeah, like who?
For your information, I happen to be a duly accredited correspondent of the London Times.
Well, now, what does that mean, Paul? That duly accredited...
Means his credit's good.
Oh,
good.
That's so.
That is not so. What it means is that the newspaper I work for expects to receive a journalistic report from me within the next fortnight. When they don't receive it, somebody's going to start asking questions. And when that happens, they'll start looking for me.
Paul, they ain't going to have much trouble finding him. Why, those folks on the stage...
They're long gone. On.
Yeah, but... Well, what about his writing?
They're going to receive it just the same as usual. Only, Kendall, you write one word about being in this predicament. A mess. You won't get no food at no time. No time. You won't get out of that cell. Well,
that's it.
So.
Well, how about it, Kendall?
So.
Now, you want to eat, don't you? And that cell can get mighty small after being in it 24 hours steady. Now, are you going to do what Paul wants you to? Learn my little system manners and behave yourself? Or are you going to stay in your cell?
Well, I don't seem to have much of a choice, do I?
No, sir. You sure don't.
The first lesson was arranged in the Bellejoy backyard. I was escorted to the house, then turned loose in Mercy Day's lair. She was eager, one can say that for her, and she tried hard.
Mr. Kendall, I just love the way your lip curls up when you talk. Say it again for me.
How now, brown cow?
That's it! Oh,
quite nicely.
What about her manners? You ain't forgetting her manners, are you? He sure ain't. He already done told me a lady don't spit in front of a man no matter how much she wants to. Well, I declare. What's she supposed to do? That's right. You didn't tell me that, mister, what she's supposed to do.
The lessons continued, and as the days passed, my hope for an early rescue waned. Even if someone did come to Shoshone to inquire about me, Belljoy would deny ever having seen a journalist from England. And as for my reports to the Times, well, Mercedes was a good cook, and I disliked going hungry. So the reports were sent off per contract, except for one small detail. Those mailed by Belljoy were almost verbatim copies of the first reports I sent home after arriving in this western wilderness. Sooner or later, someone would arrive to inquire about me. But when help did come, it was from an unexpected quarter.
Kendall, you come on out of there. My pa wants to talk with you.
Oh? What about?
You'll see, and I sure pity you. Why, he's sitting in the office with a bottle of whiskey in front of him, and his face so red, he looks like it's going to explode.
Go on. What's on? Who'll make her? Female still.
No, Pa, he ain't none of them things.
Oh, he ain't. We'll see. You, Kendall. You, Kendall, over here.
Why, Mr. Kendall, how charming to
Here.
see you.
Pa.
Here, Kendall.
Pa, before you get started, can I have a suck off of that bottle?
Boy, you get Scotch.
Yes, sir.
Kendall, you miserable. Female stealing. Conniving. Scheming.
Pa, he
Scheming.
ain't. He ain't.
Here.
There isn't none of that. He loves me.
He ain't in love. He's sick. He's sick. Sick. Look at his face.
But he does love me. Tell him, Mr. Kendall.
Mercedes. Sheriff,
It's all right, honey. You just speak up.
Sheriff, I have no intentions, honorable or otherwise, toward your daughter.
Pa, you stand him. He can't say it to you like he did to me.
I said what to you, Mercedes?
How do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
But that's poetry.
Sure is. Prettiest thing I ever heard.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. A minute now. You really did say such words to my little girl, Kendall?
He just admitted it.
Well, yes. But that's part of your...
Part of courting me, huh, honey pot? Pa, why don't you pronounce us man and wife right now?
Later, much later, I returned to my cell, still a bachelor, a state Mercedes seemed determined to change. Belljoy had ordered the lessons stopped. My privilege as a trustee rescinded. I was contemplating my dark future when I heard it. A scraping sound just outside my cell.
Kendall. You, Kendall. Come over to the window.
Who is it?
Me. Charlie. The driver.
I thought you and everybody else had forgotten about me.
No, just waiting for the right time. Besides, I couldn't do nothing as long as I was sitting atop the stage. And I had to wait for my day off, which is now.
Charlie, take a message
No,
to...
don't fool with messages. I aim to get you out of there.
If you do, I'll be in your debt forever.
Hush all that jabber. Ain't no time for it. Now, look, the stage leaves for Bear Claw in half an hour, and you're going to be on it.
Well, how?
Yeah, with this. You know how to use one of those, don't you?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Yes, I do.
Now, the sheriff's going to dinner. Won't be back. Only CB's here. Just don't shoot anybody you don't have to. Oh, and remember, half an hour. You just be out front, wave, and the stage will stop. I won't be driving, but it's all set so you can get aboard.
Thanks, Charlie. Oh, Charlie. Why are you doing this?
Well, Mr. Kendall, you won't believe this, but you know that little gal, that Mercy Day?
Oh.
You're ruining her, teaching her good manners and such. She thinks she's getting too good for me. Now, you keep on. She won't marry me ever.
You know the saying, one man's meat is another's... Well, you know it. 15 minutes later, I walked to the door of my cell and yelled for CB. He responded. took one look at the gun in my hand and promptly agreed to surrender his gun and step into my cell, which I just as promptly locked. A few minutes later, the stage pulled up, and I stepped aboard. It wasn't until some time after I returned to Bear Claw that I was told what had happened when Sheriff Belljoy learned of my escape. He was sitting on his back porch with Charlie, the driver.
So he lit out like a
Yeah.
big saddle bird.
Ah! Ah! Boy, good. He fell for it. I really thought he was escaping. Oh, my. Pussyfooter, huh? Oh, you... Now, Charlie, you remember now, the women gotta think that he really escaped.
Yes, sir. Don't worry. I'll
Good.
remember.
Good. Maybe someday you'll be assistant deputy. You like that, Charlie? What?
Like it?
What?
Yes, sir, Mr. Belljoy. That'd be just fine.
Sticky females. Bad enough having them practice manners, talking English. You know, Charlie boy, I couldn't spit in front of them anymore.
No.
For a fact. And if you think that I'd let that giggle patch daughter of mine, marry up with something like him, a pussyfooting foreigner, boy, you driver, Charlie boy, how you like to be my son-in-law, Charlie?
Boy, Sheriff, Judge.
Mayor.
I'd like it just fine.
Good, yeah. Son-in-law, mine, Charlie boy. Good.
Frontier Gentleman was produced and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Mr. Daner was also heard as Sheriff Belljoy. The story was written by Charles B. Smith. Featured in the cast were Richard Perkins, Virginia Gregg, Ron Meader, Jeanette Nolan, Harry Bartell, and Stacey Harris. Join us again next week for another report from the Frontier Gentleman. Alan Botzer speaking.
In the plains country of Wyoming Territory, I met a homesteading family. This is an account of how they lived and nearly died.
Frontier Gentleman. Herewith an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
I came across the shack in the mid-afternoon. It seemed to spring out of a slight depression in the unchanging flatness of plains, this isolated cabin with its miniature corral. And startling against the sun-browned earth, the tiny patch of green lawn. As I drew closer, I saw a child, perhaps 3 years old. She hugged a shapeless lump of calico in her arms and stood quiet in the doorway, watching gravely as I approached. I called hello to her. Her eyes remained on me, wide, gray-blue. The only reaction to my voice, a tightening of her hands about the faceless doll. I saw the window, a flap of canvas serving for glass, rough-hewn logs, ill-fitting, the chinks filled with baked earth. At the side of the cabin, a few yards away, was a well with its rope and an iron bucket. I looked back to the child, but she was no longer there. Instead, a tall, flaxen-haired woman stood in the doorway, a Winchester held in her hands.
Jingle your spurs, mister. Go on.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to frighten you. I wondered if I could have some water. For the horses well, I'd be willing to pay.
You alone?
Yes?
We're not used to strangers riding this way. Where are you headed?
Laramie.
Oh, that's a long ride.
I know.
Your horse looks tired. You'd better water him.
Oh, thank you.
I got nothing for the horse to drink out of. You'll have to use your hat.
All right. Ooh. Ooh.
Maybe you can use this. It's not much, but it's the biggest pan I've got.
No, really, the horse doesn't mind my hat. He's used to it.
Never mind. Pour.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's been a hot day.
It's about the same as usual. I'm sorry about the rifle, mister.
Sure, it's all right.
No, I'm sorry. My husband's away. He won't be back till late. It's just the baby and me.
I understand.
I guess it's easy to forget hospitality out here. I'm sorry that water's some brackish. Wally's digging a new well around the back, but it hasn't hit sweet water yet.
I'm very grateful. Would you take this, please?
Oh, no. We don't take money for water.
You know, I wondered about your grass over there.
It's pretty, isn't it? My sister sent the seeds from home, from the east, Connecticut.
Oh?
That's where I'm from, before Wally and I got married and came out here. Do you know Connecticut, mister?
Yes, I've been there.
You have? Where, Richfield? Do you know Richfield?
No. New Haven, though. I've been there.
Oh, that's fine. Just fine. Oh, imagine. New Haven. You must be one of those Yale College men.
No.
The way you talk.
No, I'm English.
I could have sworn it was New England. Boston, maybe.
How long have you been out here?
A year now. We lived in St. Louis before that. The baby was born there, and... Listen to me chattering on. I guess it's just that we don't get much chance to talk to folks from the east.
I can understand.
Can you? Can you? Well, I declare, we haven't even been introduced. I'm Meg Calder.
J.B. Kendall.
Mr. Kendall, why don't you come on in and have some apple cornbread? I just made some this morning.
Oh, well, it's kind of you.
Pure selfish, that's what it is. I want to hear about New Haven and the like. You'd best put your horse in the corral. I'll make some coffee. Of course, it isn't like using fresh apples, real apples, but I guess we're lucky to even get dried ones out here.
Really. Good, Mrs. Calder.
Will you have some more coffee?
Please.
Annie's taken quite a fancy to you. She usually hides when strangers are about.
And she takes after you. Her eyes, hair.
You think so?
Annie.
Anne Meredith, after my great aunt. Anne Meredith Honeycutt in Ridgefield.
Ah.
She's a little shy, Mr. Kendall. You see, she can't talk.
Oh, well, she'll be...
I mean, she never will. She was born with an affliction. But she can hear, and she understands some. She knows her name, and Mama and Dada. Don't you, baby? Come on, sit on Mama's lap.
What brought you out here, Mrs. Calder?
The land. We're homesteading. Wally knows a lot about farming. He figures when we get enough water, we'll raise wheat and grain. Barley, maybe. Says we've got to raise it to feed cattle. There'll be money in that.
It must be hard work digging wells.
Oh, it is. That one that's drying up, it's only 40 feet. The other one behind's down 50. Wally thinks maybe another 20 feet will get him water. He's gone to the Allen boys to borrow another spade.
You mean he's digging it alone?
Oh, yes. When we first set up here, a fella came riding by, and he said he could locate water for us. And he surely did. Just used a forked stick, and he pointed right to the spot. He was a preacher kind of man. Helped Wally dig, and Wally paid him $5.
Must get rather lonely for you. I mean, when your husband goes away.
Mr. Kendall, I haven't seen a white woman for a year. I don't think there's one for 100 miles around. Mrs. Manning used to live north, 30 miles from here, but she and her family, all but Ed Manning, they got killed by Indians just before we came here. Don't do that, baby. Of course, we haven't had any trouble with Indians, but I do say I sometimes worry being alone with the baby.
I should imagine.
I hope you don't mind.
Mind?
Me, talking on like a jaybird.
Oh, I don't mind at all, no.
Annie, where are you going? Annie? Oh, that child, I declare. It's Wally. Wally!
Meg? Who's inside?
Stranger came by, named Kendall, on his way to Laramie. Didn't you get trouble?
No, there's trouble. Alan's place was burned down last night.
Oh, wow.
You better get Annie in. I don't want her outside.
Come on, Annie. Come on,
Come on.
Kendall? Yes, you're Calder.
Well, pleased to know you, but you better be moving on. There's likely to be trouble.
What is it? What happened?
A fellow called Selfridge. Him and a bunch of cattlemen. They figured to run all the homesteaders out.
But why?
Well, they say we've been killing their range cattle.
That's not true.
I know it isn't. That's what Alan told them. They gave him and his brother a beating, then fired the place. Alan says they'll be heading this way.
Oh, Wally.
Mister, you better hit the trail.
Oh, if I can be of any help,
Well, there's not much we can do. There's a bunch of them.
No, I mean, if they come here, what's going to happen?
I don't know. I guess I'll send the wife and kid over to old man Hovland's place, and I'll wait here.
I'm not going. You've got a right to our land. It's all legal. You've got the papers, Wally. You can show them.
Meg, papers don't matter. They want to get us out of the territory. This thing's been coming for a long time. Alan told me, all over the country, cattlemen trying to chase homesteaders out.
They won't chase us.
You've got to go up to Hovland's and take the kid, Meg. There might be shooting.
You listen to me, Wally Calder. It took a year of wanting and all this spring for me to get that grass patch out front. I'm not giving it up. I'm here. Here I'm going to stay, and no cattleman nor anything else is putting me out.
Can't you get protection from the law?
Mister, the law is 130 miles from here, and they're not partial to homesteaders either.
Well, in that case, it might be just as well if I stay here, just in case you need another gun.
Well, I'm obliged to you, Kendall, but if this Selfridge and his pals are looking for someone, it isn't going to be any healthier for you than for us.
I'll take the chance with you. At least overnight.
Not much of a place to bed down. Meg can fix you up with a blanket.
Well, sure I can. I've got a quilt, too. Not that you'll be needing it in this weather, Mr. Kendall.
I'd best see to feeding the horse. Meg, you break out that hunting piece. There's shells back of the bureau top drawer.
All right, Wally.
I'll give you a hand, Mr. Calder.
Name's Wally. And I'd be much obliged. I haven't said anything to Meg, but I've been expecting something like this. Started up last winter, I guess.
What happened?
Oh, a lot of cattle died. It was a hard season. Well, you know how it is.
Yeah.
I came across a couple of poor critters myself, froze stiff, so I skinned them, took the hides. Wouldn't do the cattle any good. I sure needed them. So the cattlemen are saying fellas like me killed their beef, but they didn't die a natural death. Oh, watch out for the post.
All right,
It's loose. Gotta fix that one of these days.
I think you're going to have visitors, Wally.
Must be them. Selfridge and his boys. How many can you see?
3. No, 4.
Yeah, 4. Come on, we better get back to the cabin before they get here.
In a moment, we return to Frontier Gentlemen. Here's a recipe to suit most anyone's taste. Tape a heaping portion of mystery, a full measure of suspense, fold in scientific detection and pulsating action, and heat to a burning climax. That's what we'll be serving up on CBS Radio's FBI in Peace and War every Sunday on most of these stations. And now we return you to the Anthony Ellis production of Frontier Gentlemen.
Meg Calder was waiting for us in the doorway when we reached the cabin. I noticed an ancient hunting rifle, as well as the Winchester, leaning against the wall. The child, Anne, was huddled in a corner, still clasping the calico doll in her arms. We watched the riders as they approached across the plain, and their gallop slowed to a canter, a walk, and then they stopped a few feet from the little grass patch. One of the horses began to nibble at the green shoots.
Mister, get that horse of yours off my grass.
I called her. I ain't gonna make a lot of talk. You got a kid inside. You got 1 hour to get her and your missus packed and out of here.
You got it all wrong. We're staying. You get off my land.
Homesteaders ain't wanted around here.
Alan's already told me about that. You think you're going to burn down my place? You got another think coming.
Now, me and the boys, we don't want no shooting.
You don't get that horse of yours off my grass, there's going to be shooting right now.
Meg, come back.
Back him up now. Go on. I'm not telling you again.
Put up your gun, man. We ain't got no quarrel with women.
No quarrel. What do you call it then? Just trying to throw us off of what's rightly ours.
Oh, man, she sure is a live dictionary, ain't she? Oh, come on, Jack. They ain't going peaceable. Let's get started.
I wouldn't.
Who are you?
A friend of the Calders.
Another sodbuster, huh? Well, you better make a 9 in your tail, pard. We don't want your kind around here.
Now, I ain't got no personal quarrel with you, Calder, but this here country is for cattle. Fellers like you ain't gonna come in here killing our stock.
I never did.
Oh, come on, Selfridge. I don't want to stop around here all day wrangling with this home sucker. Let's start burning.
You take it easy, Flag. We're gonna give him an hour, like I said.
I have an idea it's going to be the longest hour you ever waited, my friend.
I ain't your friend, mister. I don't want no mavericker like you for a friend. 1 hour, Calder. Then we're coming back.
Here. 1 hour!
They don't seem to think you mean what you say.
That's the trouble. Nobody puts up a fight against them. Well, they'll learn something from me. My great-grandfather, Silas Honeycutt, stood off a whole regiment of redcoats with Putnam. No offense to you, Mr. Kendall. You being English and all.
No offense.
What do you think, Kendall? What are our chances?
Wally Calder, you're not going
Now,
to...
wait a minute, Meg. We've got to think about the kid. Not going to be much use if she's got no ma and pa to care for her. Those fellas mean business. We put up a fight, they'll be killing, maybe on our side. I'm not afraid. But there are other places to start up again.
Wally, if you want to go, you go. I'm not stopping you. Me and Annie's staying. You do what you want.
She's some woman, you know, Kendall?
I know.
I asked, what do you think?
Well, I can't answer, Wally. It's up to you.
Yeah. She sure takes good care of that grass, doesn't she? You know, we figure on finding vegetables as soon as we get the new well dug.
Annie? Wally, did you see the baby come out?
Well, no, she was inside.
Well, she's gone. I can't find her.
Annie? Honey? Annie?
Annie? Annie? She isn't here, Wally.
Did you look behind the stove? She likes to hide behind
I looked.
Well, perhaps she went out while we were all outside.
Maybe she got frightened. Annie! Annie, baby!
Campbell, you go around the other side. Will you look in the corral? She likes the horse. Maybe she's there.
For the next 15 minutes, we searched. I could see Selfridge and his men about a quarter of a mile away, watching us. I found no trace of the child. When I returned, I saw the Calders standing beside the mouth of the new well behind the cabin. I joined them and felt a cold chill as I looked down into the darkness at my feet.
She couldn't have, honey.
Oh, maybe she did. Maybe she's down there.
No, she knows about it. We showed her. We told her to stay away.
Maybe she didn't understand. Maybe she was running, scared and fell, and she's down there. And we can't hear her because she can't cry or shout or anything. And she's lying there, hurt or dead.
No, Meg. No, she's just hiding somewhere. We'll find her.
Annie!
No. Look, now, don't.
It's your fault. It's you making us come out here in this terrible place with dirt, not enough food.
Honey, we'll find her. She'll be all right. Now, take hold of yourself, Meg. They're back. It's Selfridge.
I don't care. I want my baby. Wally, you've got to find her.
Ain't noticed you ready to leave?
The child is lost. Did you see her come out of the cabin?
No.
No, I didn't.
Quint, you see her?
Nope. I guess maybe I did.
while we was talking.
Where'd she go?
Around you at the back.
Wally!
You think she fell in the well?
Well, we don't know.
How deep is it?
About 50 feet.
Not there deep.
You called to her down there?
Well, it wouldn't do any good. She can hear, but she can't talk.
That's a longish fall. I wouldn't figure her to be alive.
Shut
no.
your fool mouth,
Well,
Flag,
that's
will
true.
you? Calder, you sure she's down there?
No, but she isn't anyplace else.
Now, what's it like down there? Rock?
No, mostly soft
You know,
dirt.
she could be all right, little kid like that. They can take a fall pretty good, you know.
Now, that ain't much support, that soft dirt. Like as not, you'd get a cave
I was
in.
aiming to fix that, but... Well, maybe she's not even in there.
Get a rope, Wally. Somebody's got to go down to find out.
Not me, no, sir. I heard about black damp in them wells.
Oh,
no, sir.
Flag,
I ain't ready
nobody's
to set
after
my
you.
sight.
Hush up now.
Well, I ain't going down there.
Haven't got a proper windlass. Just been tying the other end to the post there.
Good.
She holds good. Hey, you fellas pay it out.
Sure.
I'm going down.
Right.
Wally,
Hard block.
you be careful.
Get behind me, Flag. Get behind him.
Flag?
Hold tightly now.
Okay, I got you.
Let it go. Slow.
You got the plane?
Yeah. Go ahead. Easy now, darling.
Easy.
Slowly. Slowly. There's a lot of loose dirt falling.
Can't clear the edge.
Slowly now. Wally, shout out when you're on the bottom.
Annie.
All right.
Watch out. You got a hand caught in that hedge.
Stay all right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going.
He's down.
All right. Now, slack off. Bundle. I'm here.
Wally? Is she all right? Wally?
I don't know.
Bring her up, Wally. Tie the rope under your arms. Hold her. We'll pull you up.
Yeah. All right.
Some slack. Wait. Now. Let us know when you're ready.
Lord, please. Please. Oh, Lord. Deliver us. I pray.
Oh, now, Mrs.
Lord.
Now, she's going to be all right. Now, you see she's going to be just fine.
Sure taking a sweet time.
You ready? Wally, are you ready?
What's the matter with him? Calder, you want us to pull up?
Gone slack again.
It's a black dance got him. That's what does you keel over.
Wally, can you hear me? I'm going down after them. Be ready to pull up fast when I give the word. I went down into the well as quickly as I dared, my feet unavoidably scuffing the walls of the shaft, sending showers of dirt to the bottom. As the circle of light diminished over my head, I became aware of a stale heaviness in the air, which became more pronounced with every foot of the descent. Then I was at the bottom, and I could dimly make out the form of the child, and huddled beside her, Wally. As I made a hurried loop of the rope under my arms, I began to feel lightheaded. It was an effort to pick up the child, to hold her. Pick me up! Up! And as the ascent began, and the air became fresher, I felt my senses returning, and with them the realization that the little girl's heart was still beating.
Is she all right?
Annie.
She's alive. She's alive. Take her.
All right. Now, you come on out. I'll go down for Calder.
No time. Send me down. Hurry. You'll have to bring us up together. I knew now what was meant by black damp. Some form of gas which gathered in the bottom of the well. This time I breathed as sparingly as possible. At the bottom, I put Wally Calder over my shoulder and then began the never-ending journey to the surface. The light above me became dimmer and dimmer. I felt Wally falling, slipping off my shoulder, my grip on the rope weakening.
Mr. Kendall? Mr. Kendall? Mr. Kendall?
Kendall?
Oh, there. That's better.
How did I...
They pulled us out, Kendall.
Huh? I don't remember.
They said you had a grip on me like to twist my neck off.
Oh, I'd like to thank them.
I already did. They didn't feel like waiting.
Oh?
No, they just kind of stood around a couple of minutes, then figured they'd better get back to the ranch before night.
How's the little girl?
Some bruises, but that's all.
Oh.
She's asleep now.
Meg and me, we just wish there was something we could do. If you want, you can share our place with us till you find a likely site for yourself. I'll help you build, Kendall. I'll give you a year's work for what you've done for us.
Oh, thank you. But I suppose I'm what you'd call a wandering man. I'll stay the night if I may. Then in the morning I'll go on to Laramie.
And after Laramie?
I don't know, Mrs. Calder. I don't really know.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were Virginia Gregg, Vic Perrin, Larry Dobkin, Jack Crucian, and Harry Bartell. Dan Cubberly speaking.
I met a gambler in Wyoming Territory and learned something about the terrible war between the states.
Frontier Gentleman. An Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of the violent years in the new territories. Now, starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
Returned to Cheyenne in Wyoming Territory, I found that a new and thriving establishment had opened during my absence. I first heard of it over a drink with Carrie Chase, the editor and publisher of the Cheyenne Daily Press. We were standing at the bar in the Gold Room Saloon, and I remarked on the fact that the adjacent gambling rooms seemed unusually quiet.
Been like this over a week now.
Oh, any particular reason?
I guess you haven't heard about Madame Verdi.
No.
Quite a woman. Sailed in here 10 days ago. Denver, they say. Got the biggest painted freight wagon you ever saw. And some kind of a omnibus for her to travel in. Well, I tell you, no lady's boudoir was ever decked out any better.
And is she a medicine woman?
Oh, no. Gambling. Set herself up near the depot. A big tent. Roulette, faro, anything you name. Brought in her own dealers, case keepers, spindlemen. Day after she arrived, posters went up all over town. And since then, well, the local boys aren't very happy about it.
Taking all their business, huh?
Just about.
What sort of woman is she?
I tried to get an interview. Not much luck. Doesn't like to talk about herself. But I tell you, there's a story there. I'd like to get it. Yes, sir. Quite a woman.
Pretty?
Pretty and a lady. A real belle. Madame Birdie.
Is she foreign?
I wouldn't say so. Why don't you go down and take a look this afternoon? I'd like to join you, but I got to get my editorial out. Maybe I'll see you later.
Right. I found the tent, a huge affair, 100 yards or so from the railroad depot. Inside, a crowd of men thronged about several tables, and I recognized a number of wealthy cattlemen whom I had met a few weeks earlier at the Cheyenne Club. Then I saw Madame Birdie. She was rather small, quite lovely, wearing a very simple white and gold gown which set off her long, jet black hair. The effect was striking, as I was sure it was meant to be. She sat behind a small table dealing a game called 21. As I approached, she looked up, caught my eye for a moment, then returned to the game. I stood watching.
Card? You can hit me again, ma'am. Oh, that's just fine. You, sir?
I stand.
Page 21.
Well, I'll be
No language, if you please, gentlemen.
I ain't never seen such luck as Buck the Tiger against Skinhorn down Abilene. And when he got through, I didn't have a tail feather left.
The luck of the cards.
Yeah.
You want to sit in, sir? There's room for another.
No, thank you. 21 isn't exactly my game.
We have roulette, faro, dice, poker.
Matter of fact, I came to see you.
Yeah, well, you ain't alone, mister. You see, there ain't nobody I'd rather lose to. You throw him out again, madam.
What's your business?
I'm a newspaper man. I write for the London Times.
You English fellers sure filling up a territory. It seems like there's as many you as Sue in these here.
Are we playing or are we talking?
Cards, gentlemen.
You can hit me now, man. And again, soft. Nice and soft. Yeah, I'll stay on this.
Hit me.
No, that ain't luck.
Let me see them cards.
Oh, now, you take these here.
Now, look here. I've been losing for better than 2 hours. I say that ain't luck. Unless you want me to shoot up this place, you just hand over that money you've been cheating me on.
Put your gun away.
Yes, I would if I were you.
Listen, you're willing to buck out and smoke, you just keep out of this. All right, Madam Birdie, I got 1,000 gold laying in front of you. Now, you just push it over, and I won't be able to.
Yeah, now, mister, you know, for an Englishman, you got a real likely fist there. Hey, look at that. He's asleep and as gentle as a dead cat.
Is everything all right, ma'am?
Yes, thank you, Ed. Take him outside and throw a bucket of water over.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell Charlie to take over from me.
Oh, you leaving, ma'am?
For a little while.
Well, I'll be waiting for you. Still got a ways to go before I'm cleaned out.
Perhaps you'll let me stand you a drink, sir.
No, thank you. It's a little early for me.
I'm grateful for what you did just now, but really it wasn't necessary. He never would have left the tent alive. My boys are always on the watch for things like that.
I didn't know.
What do they call you?
Kendall, J.B. Kendall.
Will you come over to my place, Mr. Kendall? It's quieter.
Well, I'm overwhelmed, Madame Birdie. I must say I've never seen anything like it.
My home on wheels. I'm a traveling woman, Mr. Kendall, but I see no reason to give up my comfort. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Are you fond of birds, Mr. Kendall?
I don't think I've ever thought of it one way or the other.
This is my pet, Trinket. He's been with me for 3 years now. I don't usually talk to newspaper men.
So I understand. Mr. Chase of the Cheyenne Press told me he didn't have much luck.
Some newspaper men have been rather unkind.
Well, I think that readers in England would be fascinated by you.
What, for example, would fascinate them?
The obvious. That a young and very pretty woman is running the most successful gambling establishment in Cheyenne.
She bears the somewhat unusual name, Madame Verdi.
It used to be Madame Vestal. That was in Denver.
And before that?
I was Mrs. Newt Hallett. My husband was an army surgeon. He died in Texas of yellow fever.
Oh.
After that, I tutored for a while at an Indian agency. Then I found that I possessed an uncommon skill with the cards. There now. You have my entire history.
Or at least something to start with. Where were you born?
I think that's one thing that I don't care to tell you.
Where were you reared?
And that's another.
Does the sort of thing that happened before in the tent occur very often?
No.
Do men take advantage of you simply because you're a woman?
The contrary. I usually take advantage of that fact myself.
With dire results, I have no doubt. Well, I imagine that you're not particularly popular at this moment with the gambling hall owners here in Cheyenne.
I'm only interested in popularity, Mr. Kendall. And it fills my cash box.
I stayed on for another 10 minutes odd and learned very little more beyond the fact that the full name she now used was Lurling Monteverdi. Highly theatrical, she knew, but felt it was part of her work. When I once again attempted to probe into her past, she excused herself rather abruptly and returned to the big gambling tent. I walked over to Carrie Chase's office and told him about the interview. It wasn't until later that I learned what was taking place at that same moment in a room behind the Silver Dollar Saloon. Several men were present, and their faces were grim. They were listening to the Silver Dollar's owner, a man named Jonas Root.
Now, boys, I call this here meeting because we're all up against the same trouble. That trouble being one calico queen named Madame Verdi. Ain't no call now for us to keep on trying to cut each other's throats to get customers for our places. Because she's got 'em all. That's the way it sits. Now, boys, here's what I figure. What we need now is an association of gambling parlor owners, which association is made up of all of us here in this room. And we got a purpose. Which purpose is to get rid of said calico queen named Madame Verdi.
All right, now lay off your tongue, old Jonas. We know that. You said you got to figure out how to do it. Now get on with it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, I got it whipped, I think. Now, all of you may be wondering who this here fella is I got sitting by.
Yeah, well, who is
He calls himself Jack Woolcott. Now, he's got something to say to you.
Well, you say it this way. I just got robbed up to that Madame Verdi. She took me for 1,021, and when I caught her dealing off the bottom of the deck, shadow boys jumped me.
Well, they sure made a mess out of your face, mister.
Well, I aim to make them pay for it.
Now, fellas, we don't want no crooked gambling from no she-gouger in Cheyenne. And there's something else. I've been doing some inquiring these past days since you've been here. Now, I found out... Yes, sir, I found out something's going to get Fancy Nellie run plumb out of here.
Jonas, will you haze the talk? Now, what do you know?
Madame Verdi's real name was Belle Siddons.
Belle Siddons? You mean Belle Siddons?
Yeah, you know the name, Soapy.
She's that Confederate spy, Belle Siddons?
She is the same.
Well, I was on guard duty in Grant Street Prison back in St. Louis when they brought her in. Boys, that's that red woman got Grant's troops cut off. Joe, Finch, Big Al, you remember the raid on the Memphis and Mobile Railroad, don't you?
All right, now, I say that what we got to do is pay a call tonight on Madame Belle Siddons Verdi. And we'll ask her nice and polite to roll her wheels out of Cheyenne.
Yeah, I agree, but supposing she says no?
Well, then maybe we ain't so polite. Maybe then we take her out riding under a cottonwood leaf. you too can have the advantages of a tax-sheltered retirement plan. Corporations have long been able to set aside funds to provide retirement income for their employees and defer payment of taxes. Since 1962, self-employed individuals have been able to save in a tax-sheltered Keogh plan. Now, Congress has developed IRA for individuals not covered by other plans. Social Security is not adequate to provide independence when you retire. But coupled with IRA, many people can now make their later years worry-free. Any wage earner who is not a participant in any other retirement plan may set up an IRA. The sooner you start, the better your retirement can be. Get your plan started at Highline Savings and Loan, Burien, Kent, Linwood, and Bellingham.
And now we return you to the Anthony Ellis production of Frontier Gentlemen.
Neither Chase nor I had any idea what was brewing among the members of the newly formed Association of Gambling Parlor Owners. I sent a message to Madame Verdi asking her to dine with me at the Rollins house that night. You know, I didn't think you would.
Join you for dinner? Why not?
I don't know. Perhaps you strike me as the type of woman who never allows pleasure to interfere with business, and that there's only room for business in your life.
As a rule, yes.
Well, I'm flattered that you make an exception tonight.
I'm curious about you, Mr. Kendall.
Oh?
You're not the type of man I would expect to find as a newspaper correspondent.
Is there a type?
I think you know what I mean.
I'm not sure that I do.
The way you managed that man this afternoon, something tells me that you could have done quite as well with a gun.
Oh. Well, I've learned a little since coming to the West.
And what did you do before coming here?
A little of everything.
You don't like to talk about yourself?
There's not much to tell. Really. I was in the army in India. Spent 5 years there. Went home to England. And I didn't find it home anymore, so I got a job through a friend of mine who works for the London Times. I send back articles on life in the American West. They buy them from me.
I've met Englishmen who sound a great deal more English than you do.
It's quite possible. I haven't cultivated the accent for some time now.
You sound bitter. What happened in England?
I didn't say anything happened.
You didn't have to.
Must be your card sense that gives you an insight into a man's thoughts.
I'm seldom wrong. That's why I sit on the other side of the table. You see, it's so easy to ask questions. Not always as simple to answer them, is it?
No. Will you have more champagne?
Please. If I were asked to gamble on it, I'd say there was a woman in England.
You'd be half right.
You look so stern, Mr. Kendall. Don't worry. There'll be another. There always is.
Did you find another man after your husband died?
No. But I imagine I will. You find me terribly callous?
Not at all. Refreshingly honest.
I'm afraid I shall have to be going back to the tent now.
I'll take you.
I've enjoyed myself very much, Mr. Kendall.
So have I.
Have you any money?
Well, a little, yes.
If you decide to play roulette, I suggest that you bet on the black. Up to $1,000 payoff, it can be quite lucky.
Thank you, no. When I gamble, I'll take my own chances. It was a fine evening, and instead of taking the carriage she had hired, we walked toward her place. Neither of us spoke much. We had come to the end of the street when we saw the group of men waiting outside the big tent. They turned as we approached and walked toward us. I felt a sinking sensation in my stomach as I recognized one of them, the man I had hit that afternoon. All of them were armed.
Good evening, Madam Verdi.
Good evening, gentlemen. Waiting to try your luck with me?
Well, I'll tell you, ma'am, we're waiting to talk to you in private.
That fellow, he's one of them that pistol whipped me. He's a shill.
Let's go inside the tent, gentlemen. I'll buy you a drink.
No. We'll do our talking out here.
Jason, will you get on with it?
Ma'am, we represent the Cheyenne Association of Gambling Parlor Owners. You ain't a member.
No, I'm not.
And we got a complaint that you're not running your games clean. The association don't like that. So we took a vote, and we agreed that you got to be out of this here town come morning.
Where did you hear that Madame Verdi runs a crooked game? From him?
Yeah, from me. Besides which, she ain't no Madame Verdi. I know you. Maybe you don't remember me, but I seen you, Belle Siddons, when they brought you to the St. Louis prison in chains. We don't want no Confederate spies in Cheyenne.
I don't know anything about that, but she wasn't cheating. Your friend here decided he couldn't afford to lose anymore, so he drew his gun on a lady and tried to get it back. I hit him. That's all there was to it.
You're a liar.
And if I don't choose to leave?
You ain't got no choice, Belle. You get, or you're going to find yourself looking through cottonwood leaves, which is what should have happened to you anyway. That's the way we handle your kind around here.
There won't be any need for that. Miss Siddons is going to be sensible. Ain't you, ma'am? There's a lot of folks in Cheyenne might not take kindly to you being a Confederate spy and everything. Might even take matters out of our hands if they found out.
You gentlemen seem to be holding the cards.
That's the way to look at it.
Hey, Kendall.
Who's that? Oh, the newspaper fella. Chase.
I thought that was you. Evening, ma'am.
Evening.
Oh, how are you, Rude?
Chase.
You come over to see how she does it. I hear your places aren't making out so well. Thought I'd take a spin at the roulette table, Madam Verdi.
I should be honored, Mr. Chase. Why don't we all go in together?
No, I got to be getting back to the silver dollar. You won't forget our little deal, will you, ma'am?
No, I won't.
We went into the tent. She was tight-lipped, pale. Later, at exactly 2 o'clock, she called a halt to the play and the tent was cleared. Chase, flushed with whiskey he had taken and the $100 he had won, joined me at her table.
A fine evening, ma'am. You're a credit to Cheyenne. You run a square game, and I'm going to say so in my next editorial.
Thank you, Mr. Chase, but you needn't bother. I'm leaving in the morning.
Oh, now you can't do that.
I'll be heading for Deadwood.
Why, ma'am, you could spend the rest of your life around here.
And I'm afraid not.
Well, sure you can. Isn't that so, Kendall?
No, that ain't so. Now, she's getting out. But before she does, she's giving me back that $1,000. Ain't you, Madame Verdi?
I very much doubt it. Go away now, before you get into more trouble.
Now, you keep out of this, mister. I'm talking to the lady. Now, how about it, Madame Verdi?
You lost fairly.
And I say I was cheated. You know, folks in Cheyenne could do a lot of damage to this place. Maybe to you if they found out about certain things.
Get out.
I will. When I get my money.
What's it all about? What?
Oh, he doesn't know, huh? Well, Mr. Chase, you can print it in your paper.
Print what?
Well, do I get it?
Yes.
No. No, it doesn't matter. Let him talk. The war's over. People won't mind.
People do mind, Mr. Kendall. I'm afraid they're going to go on minding for a long time.
I wish somebody would tell me what people will talk about.
That's good.
You're a scummy little rat.
Maybe. But I was a rat that fought for the Union. I wasn't a stinking...
Shut up. Don't try.
Here's your money.
What's the matter, mister? You scared to draw?
Just waiting for you. You're the one who's going to do the killing. Remember?
Belle Siddons. Dirty, stinking Confederate spy.
Belle Siddons?
Yes. I'm sorry you had to do that, Mr. Kendall.
I am, too.
I'll be gone in the morning. Thank you for your friendship.
Why not stay? Mr. Chase...
I think she better go. Thanks to Miss Siddons, I lost my brother in the Memphis Mobile raid. I'll wait for you outside, Kendall.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were Jeannie Bates, Lawrence Dobkin, Stacey Harris, Harry Bartell, and Jack Crucian. Join us again next week for another report from the Frontier Gentleman. Bud Sewell speaking.
In Chugwater, Wyoming Territory, there is a way station for the Cheyenne and Black Hills stage line. Because of a rainstorm, I witnessed a tragedy there.
Frontier Gentleman. Herewith an Englishman's account of life and death in the West. As a reporter for the London Times, he writes his colorful and unusual stories. But as a man with a gun, he lives and becomes a part of violent years in the new territories. Now, starring John Daner, this is the story of J.B. Kendall, Frontier Gentleman.
I was on my way to Chugwater. Jack Chase, editor of the Cheyenne Daily Press, had suggested that if I wanted an accurate picture of life in Wyoming Territory, Hyena Bob Saunders was the man to see. He ran the Cheyenne and Black Hills stage line station in Chugwater. In the coach with me were three other passengers. One, a gray-haired, quiet man who introduced himself as Boone Thompson. The others, Duncan Webster and his wife, Rose. Webster, a dark-faced, handsome chap of about 40, was unaccountably nervous. His wife, composed, in her middle 30s, a strong face, not unattractive. Our driver, Bill Cuttle, had expected us to arrive at our destination in the late afternoon, but a bad storm delayed us so that it was dark before we pulled into the Chugwater station.
Howdy, folks. See, you got a mite wet, lady. Warm yourself over to the fire. My name's Hyena Bob, folks. Now, you just all sit down, and I'll get hot coffee and victuals.
Mr. Saunders?
Oh, no, not Saunders, partner. Ain't nobody never called me Mr. Saunders except my wife. And the yeller grass has been waving over her nigh on these 15 years. Oh, the name's Hyena Bob. What can I do for you? Come on over while I set the coffee off.
I'm J.B. Kendall.
Well, right proud to know you.
Jack Chase mentioned your name.
Chase?
Yes.
That little feller looks like a rooster stepping high in the mud? Newspaper feller Chase? Cheyenne Chase?
Yes, that's the one.
Why, I ain't seen him in 2 years or better. How is he?
Oh, it's fine.
Nice feller, that. You know, he done me a right smart favor once. You friend of his'n?
No, not a close friend, no,
He
but...
still got that newspaper of his'n?
Yes?
Oh, here, you stir that, will you? I'll get the mug
Yes,
down.
certainly.
You, on your way up to Deadwood, mister?
No. As a matter of fact, I came here to see you.
Do you say?
I'm writing a series of stories on the West for my paper in England.
Do you say? Newspaper fellow yourself, huh?
Yes, Jack Chase thought you'd be the most likely person for me to talk to in Wyoming.
Don't see what call he had to say that. Of course, I ain't saying I ain't got a story or two.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Hey, Cuddle, how goes it, huh?
Hey, you old Grizzlehill. You call up this blue whistler? I ain't seen so much rain since the big one in 74.
You're going to see more before this one blows over. Southbound pulled out a couple hours back. Ruth Hockaday says you can't get through the gap anymore tonight. She's flooding all over.
Well, I better get them animals fed then.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
Well, folks, we ain't got the most comfortable shakedown here, but it'll be better than bedding out tonight. Oh, you want to get the coffee? I'll spoon out the grub. Take her over to the table by the fire.
Right.
I don't mind the rain. It's snow and cold. That's what I don't like. This comes from the east. Of course, we get it cold back there, but not like this country.
Kendall, the old man say how long we'll be here?
Well, I got an idea it'll be the night at least.
Well, I ain't staying the night.
Well, now, don't get riled up,
I ain't
John.
riled. I'm saying I ain't staying the night, that's all.
Well, if you ain't, mister, you'll be enjoying mighty poor health outside.
Listen, old man, I paid for my tip.
Seeing as how you come in on the stage, I figured.
A little rain ain't gonna hurt. We figure on making Deadwood.
Oh, it doesn't
I haven't-
matter, Doc.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? To you? Maybe it doesn't matter to you.
From what I understand, the trail is blocked anyway, Mr. Webster. Flooded. We'll have to wait.
Not me. How about horses? You want to sell a couple of horses, old man?
You call me old man again, Sonny, and I'm going to jump down your throat and gallop your insides out. The name's Hyena Bob. No, I don't want to sell no horses. There ain't no horses to sell. Who's thinking?
It'll only be until morning.
Sure, it's not so bad.
Now, you eat something, Dunk. You'll feel
I
better.
don't want anything to eat. Now, leave me be, Rose.
I apologize for him, gentlemen. He's not himself. There's been sickness.
Well, no offense to us, ma'am.
I'll take him a plate of food if you'll excuse me.
Yes, of course.
There goes a woman. Kendall, did you ever see it to fail? Strong female like that has to follow her man around wiping his nose for him. Look at him, sulking in the corner like a whipped kid.
Well, here's your grub, boys. More where that comes
Oh, thank you.
Well, that looks good.
Tastes good.
Stew's all, just stew. I tell you, just the smell of it makes me so hungry my belly thinks my throat's cut.
Do you mind my asking how you make it?
Well, I don't mind you asking, Kendall, but I'd mind my telling. It's a secret stew. My old woman made it for me, and her ma taught it to her. And I had to swear I'd never tell how they done it. And I ain't broke my word yet.
It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Hey, what's ailing him, the feller or the woman?
Mr. Webster? Oh, I think he's just in a hurry to get to Deadwood, that's all.
That's the trouble these days. Everybody in too much of an all-fired hurry. What kind of business you in, mister?
Thompson, Boone Thompson's name. Farm machinery.
Well, bust me to flinderjigs, a hay slayer.
Yeah.
Well, ain't no plow chasers in these parts, mister.
Oh, there will be, Bob. I'm out here from the factory to get things started.
What kind of machinery, Mr. Thompson?
Oh, plows, harrows, seeders, binders, threshing machines, and only the best. Our factory's back in Illinois. Bob, it's all cattle out here in your territory, but there's too many. The range won't feed them. You'll have to grow fodder. You'll need my machinery to do it.
That's again nature and can't be did. Bringing nesters in. Oh, I hope I ain't overspoke myself with you, Thompson, but them's my feelings.
No, that's all right. You're not the first.
Don't tell me nothing. I say what's right and what's wrong for me, and that's the way it is.
All right, Uncle.
Now go on. Just do like I tell you, will you?
Oh, man never talked to me like that before I got through. His face looked like a dime's worth of dog meat, I'm telling you.
Feel sorry for her. I really do, for a fact.
She's coming over.
And now I got to tell you about the time I hauled a load of pussycats from Cheyenne to Deadwood. Yes, sir, that was something like... can I get you some more grub, ma'am?
No, thank you very much. I was wondering, would you happen to have any whiskey?
Whiskey?
I'd be happy to buy it from you. You see, my husband isn't feeling good, and I...
Sure. Well, sure, ma'am. I got a bottle somewhere. I'll bring it over.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. Oh, that woman sure is cluttered with trouble. Well, all right, you boys go on with your grub. I'll be right back.
That don't seem right. Making his wife ask for liquor for him. I think a man would do his own asking.
Well, there might be reasons.
But none good, I'd say.
Oh! Close that door! Ooh-wee. Oh, she's a fence lifter out there. Hey, Bob.
Who's that, Cuddle?
Yeah, that's who. How's about a dish of that hyena stew of yourn?
Sure.
Boy, that tapeworm of mine is sure a hollering for fodder.
Anybody else want a tug of this? She's real coffin varnish. I never touched the stuff myself. Kendall, you Thompson?
No, thank you very much.
All right. Well, here you are, mister.
Thanks so much.
Oh, it don't cost. Take a friendly drink.
I want the bottle.
Ain't got enough for that, mister. Before this night's done and past, we all might need some.
I'll give you $5.
Well, you want to give me $5, I'm obliged, but I ain't giving you no bottle. You want a heist one, go ahead.
All right, $10 in it. Ain't worth no more than $1, and you know it.
Dunk, please.
Now, Rose, shut up, you hear?
Mister, I don't like much I see about you ever since you come in here, and I'm liking it a lot less as we go.
I ain't asking your personal opinion, old man. I'm just trying to buy your whiskey.
Oh, mister, your tongue is just a blossoming for the grave.
Gentlemen, I think we'll all be the better for a drink.
What you think don't matter, Kendall. Go sit down.
Oh, come on, Mr. Webster. We don't want any trouble.
Mr. Kendall's right, Duncan. Have a drink and you'll feel better. Give him one, please.
She looked at us, her face agonized, pleading. It was Hyena Bob who poured the tin mug full of whiskey. And as Webster reached for it, I saw the black snout of a derringer protruding from under his sleeve.
In a moment, we return to Frontier Gentlemen. A search for a missing woman triggers the tense drama you'll hear on CBS Radio's Gunsmoke later today. For all out Western excitement, join us on most of these same stations today when Marshal Dillon helps a young man in search of his wife on the next thrilling episode of Gunsmoke. And now we return you to the Anthony Ellis production of Frontier Gentlemen.
Duncan Webster drank his whiskey. I noticed his hand shaking as he put down the empty mug. Now his manner changed completely. He became quieter, apologetic.
I'm sorry. Sorry the way I was. It's just...
Ain't been feeling good.
Yes, that's the truth of it.
No counting how a man can feel. Sometimes it comes over me myself when I get full of wrath and cabbage. Well, I'll go clean up them supper things.
Oh, let me help you.
Why, ma'am, I'd take that as a real kindness.
All right, Doc?
Why, sure. Sure, you go along, Rose.
Sure has been a while since I had woman folk to help me with the chore.
Well, sit down. Sit down, Mr. Kendall. You want a drink?
Short one. Ooh, fine.
Well, I guess the old man won't mind if I join you.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck. Oh, man, I sure do hate the sound of that howling wind.
I know what you mean.
Do you? Well, how about some cards? Thompson?
Yeah?
What's the driver's name?
Cuddle.
Oh, Cuddle. How about some cards, you two?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll play.
Something I promised the wife I wouldn't do when I came out west. But, of course, I promised her a lot of things. I guess what she don't know isn't going to hurt her.
Yeah. Here. Have a drink, boys.
After a few minutes, Hyena Bob joined us, and we played for about 2 hours. Mrs. Webster sat by the fire, watching her husband with worried eyes. The bottle of whiskey disappeared, most of it down Webster's throat. Beyond a slight raising of his voice, though, it didn't seem to have much effect on him. I couldn't be sure whether Thompson and Cuttle had noticed the hidden derringer. If they did, they made no sign. It was Thompson who started to talk about the snow.
You know, playing cards like this reminds me of when I was up in Montana a few months ago. Talk about cold. 40 below.
Oh. It gets that way.
I don't know how a man can live.
Come on, let's play cards.
Yeah, in a minute. Kendall, you ever been in that kind of cold?
I don't think I'd want to either.
Oh, no. Like if you take a deep breath, everything in your lungs is freezing. Really, I saw what it did to a man once. And I hope I never see it again.
More whiskey?
Well, I ain't no hog, mister, but I think you got enough of that thunder and lightning in you to last a spell.
Hey, you talk about weather. Why, I've seen cattle froze up against drift fences. Hundreds of them. Standing like statues.
Cuddle?
Weren't even 40 below.
Cuddle, it's your deal, isn't it?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been lost in the snow?
No,
I was.
I haven't.
I was. Only a few minutes, but I tell you, I was plenty scared. It was a blizzard, regular blizzard. Couldn't see your hand in
Cuddle,
front of your
there's
face.
no call to shuffle
And
the spots
there's
off. You
no
just feel 'em, huh?
feeling as lonesome.
I know. I was lost once in a fog. It's as though you're the last man in the world.
What are you doing?
There's no...
You're playing cards. You're talking about snow and cold. Why don't you shut up? Who cares about freezing? Who cares about snow? I ain't hearing you. I ain't listening.
Don't go out, Duncan.
Oh, what's he want to go out there and get himself soaked down for?
I've got to go with him.
No, Mrs. Webster, maybe he's better off alone.
Sure. Cool him off. It's that tarantula juice. Why, ma'am, you ought to have been proud of him holding it the way he does. Now, I seen a man take 2 drinks of that stuff, and he was reeling around like a blind pup trying to find out where his mama's at.
Well, me for some shut-eye, I guess. Yeah. You still got that mangy hound of yours sleeping on the bunks, Hyena?
He won't mind your fleas, Cuddle.
Well, I'm kind of particular who I breed my fleas with. Good night, ma'am.
Good night, Cuddle.
Oh, Hyena, you got a place for passengers to get some sleep?
Oh, sure. Just follow Cuddle, Mr. Thompson.
All right.
Ladies' quarters is on the other side of the hanging blanket, ma'am. We don't usually figure to have folks putting over at this stop.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Mr.
Good night.
I'll go out and see your husband ain't drowned yet, ma'am.
When he gets like this, I never cross him. Just gentle him along. He's sick.
Oh, I'll do the same.
Bob.
Oh, yeah?
Bob.
Huh?
He's got a derringer in his sleeve.
I know. I eyeballed it. And I ain't worried.
Maybe you'd better try and get some sleep, Mrs. Webster. We'll see your husband doesn't drink anymore.
I sometimes think he's better off with the drink.
You say he's sick?
Oh, it ain't nothing for doctor's cure. He wasn't always like that. Not a dark man when he was first married. It's a thing that happened to him once, and he won't talk about it. I guess maybe you can call it some kind of sickness.
Is your home in the territory?
Oh, it's been no one place for the past 3 years. Duncan's been a traveling man, one job after another. He don't hold 'em long.
What does he do?
Oh, a bit of everything. He's good at most all he tries his hand at, except mining. Now, that's one thing that he just...
Now, what are you doing, mister? You trying to make love to my wife?
Make love to...
Duncan, there's no call to think such
Oh,
a
ain't
thing.
there? I seen him giving you the eye on the stage on the way out here.
That's enough, Webster.
Aren't you man enough to find your own woman?
Now go to bed. You'll feel better in the morning.
Mister, don't you go telling me what to do, you hear?
Stop it! Haven't you done enough?
Enough what? What, Rose?
Tonight, everything.
No, come on. You were going to say something else. Now finish up. Enough what?
Let her alone, Webster.
You feed off your own range, Kendall. I'm talking with my wife. What were you going to say, Rose?
No. You don't want to hurt her, Webster.
Look, I told you, mister.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Webster.
You had to.
Hey. Oh. Is he dead?
No, I hit him.
I knew that feller's tongue was long enough to cut his own throat. Better get the derringer off him. Sorry, ma'am, but I'm afraid your husband ain't got sense enough to be carrying a weapon mean as that up his sleeve.
Let's put him on the bench. Use my jacket for a pillow, will you, Mrs. Webster?
Yes.
You know, I never did trust a man with a hit gun like that. Begging your pardon, ma'am.
Yes, why does he carry it, Mrs. Webster?
He's afraid.
Why, he wanted? The law after him?
Oh, no. No, he's just afraid of something. I don't know what it is. And he won't tell me. He just keeps it inside. It makes him like this.
I don't know. What do you figure, Kendall?
I don't.
I heard her rot. What's the matter?
Webster had an argument. He lost, is all.
What, he tried to draw on you, Kendall?
No. He's just drunk, Mr. Thompson.
Hey, don't either of you say anything. I've been waiting for this chance for a long time. Duncan, why did you do it?
What's he talking about?
I don't know.
Why? Why did you kill them, Duncan?
Cold.
Cold, yes.
Cold and alone.
You were alone? Yes, and what happened?
I had to.
You had to what?
Hey, you let go of me.
Hey,
let go of me!
Help me!
Hey,
he's gone loco! All right, that's better, Webster.
You told them.
No, I didn't. I don't know what it is, Duncan. I don't know.
What is it, Thompson?
I'm a detective. Some people back in Kansas hired me. Folks of a young fellow died up in the Rockies. I've been working for him about 2 years now. Following this fellow, waiting for proof.
And what did he do, though?
You want to tell him, Webster?
I got nothing to tell.
He went up with 4 other boys hunting gold. The story he told when he came back was they got lost, separated from each other.
Well, that's true. It's true that's how it was.
Your wife is right here, Webster. You want me to say the rest?
Let go. Let go.
Want me to say
Rose, don't listen. Get out. Don't listen to him. He's lying, Rose. Get out.
What did he do, Mr. Thompson?
No, please. Don't say, Mr. Thompson. I'll admit, I'll tell. I killed him. I did. I never said, Rose. I couldn't tell you. It's been with me all the time. I killed him. But it was for the gold. The gold, that's why.
But you told me you were alone.
I was lying. We got lost up there, wandering around, and by accident, we found the claim. I shot him to keep the claim for myself.
What did you do with their bodies?
I threw them in a ravine. That's the way it happened. That's the way, Thompson.
Yeah. All right, Webster. That's the way it could have happened.
Why didn't you tell me, Dunk?
I couldn't tell you, Rose. I'm sorry. Sorry, Rosie. I just couldn't help it. We were lost. In the cold. I didn't know what I was doing, Rose. I dream every night. I dream it so bad I want to die.
Maybe you'll be better off when you do, Webster.
The next morning, the storm had passed. Thompson took his prisoner and Mrs. Duncan and started for Deadwood on a long trip back to Kansas. Hyena Bob and I watched the stage disappear down the road. When it was out of sight, he said,
I tell you, Kendall, life is short and full of blisters.
Frontier Gentleman was written, produced, and directed by Anthony Ellis and stars John Daner as J.B. Kendall. Featured in the cast were Joseph Kearns, Stacey Harris, Vivi Janis, Lawrence Dobkin, and William Lally. Music was composed and conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Join us again next week for another report from the Frontier Gentleman. John Wald speaking. This is the CBS Radio Network.